What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Coast to Coast Sports, our little weekend review. To the right of me, as always, is my boy Will. I'm your main guy, Harrison, and to the left we have a
new face,
new waist, big bank. Ryan.
Ryan, fat?
No, I'm not body shaming. I don't body shame. We got Ryan over here. Instead of being in the corner, he's joining us today. John cannot be with us this week. Don't worry, I got his pick'ems anyway. We'll be safe there. But John, we miss you. We love you. We care about you. We wish you were here. All right. Unfortunately, duty calls and work calls. So John's not with us this week, but that's all right. We'll carry on without him. Just giving us a little bit of a heads up here. We have a Twitter, so make sure you follow us. Where's the Twitter at? Should I point?
Top right.
Top right. So right over here. Yeah, right over here. Follow our Twitter. Obviously, see our YouTube. Share with some people that you know, love, care about, or your worst enemy. Maybe you hate this podcast and say, "Hey, worst enemy, I think you would love this, but you hate it." So it's like a dual trap, reverse psychology. Do whatever you need to do. Please get us out there. We're just starting up. We really appreciate the support for the people that do listen and the people that are participating in the comment section, liking, subscribing, and sharing. Please continue to do that and let us know what you want to hear and what you don't want to hear as well. If we're going too long on certain subjects or not. We like to look at the comments, like to look at the feedback. So please keep in touch with us. We really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the Coast to Coast family. We love you. So, let's get into it. On last week's episode, if you missed it, we did a little buy and sale, little garage sale action of the 16 NFL teams on the NFC side. This week, we're going to transition to the AFC side. So same rules apply. We're going to hit them with a buy, sell, and just a quick, what's your thoughts on the current standing of the team? Do you think that they're going to be better or worse than where they were last year? Do you think that, pretty much just your overall thoughts, if the team's going to be better or worse off? If you missed that part last week, don't be afraid to jump into the last video and check that out. This week we're getting into the AFC, so let's get us started. Let's go with the AFC North, our hometown favorites. Let's go with the Browns first. Okay. Will, what are we doing? Are we buying? We selling? What do we got? What do we got here for?
The Browns. I hate the Browns so much. I mean, I love the Browns, but I cannot stand the Browns. But I can't help but buy the Browns. I have to buy the Browns. Ultra talented roster ultimately comes down to QB play. You have to buy on the Browns improving on their record, the 8-9. I have to buy on them improving the record. Moving on from Baker Mayfield is probably the best choice for the team. I think it comes down to QB play, but I'm buying the Browns.
Ryan?
I'm going to sell.
You're selling the Browns. Why are we selling the Browns?
Because of their QB play.
Okay.
I think Baker, he has his moments.
Of course.
But I feel like there's a lot of drama and instability that surrounds the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
To where it's kind of like a week-to-week thing. Mm-hmm. To where you don't know what team you're going to get. And I think if they do want to do something with Baker, whether it's bringing in a new quarterback, through the draft, which I doubt, or something.
End of the 13th pick, so I don't know if the draft is necessarily going to be in their favor or not.
I think if there is any sort of QB instability, especially towards the middle of the year, that it could hurt them, and I'm selling.
I agree. Personally, the Browns definitely are a tough coin flip because, if I remember correctly, they are basically made a commitment that they're potentially willing to explore all options. I believe that news just came out like today. So I think that's a question mark because I don't think there's going to be a good drafting quarterback class, period. I don't necessarily know how the free market's going to favor in the Browns because they have to get rid of Baker Mayfield in return to bring somebody in. And I don't know how many draft picks the Browns have that it's going to be like, hey, Aaron Rodgers, come here, and the Packers accept that, or even the Seahawks with Russell Wilson. So I think personally I'm gonna sell the Browns as well. I also don't think necessarily the Browns are, and another reason I think the AFC North is going to be the best division in football next year. Pittsburgh Steelers, I think, always find a way to win. Bengals obviously just went to the Super Bowl, and the Ravens won't be nearly as injured prone as they are going to be next year. So I think the AFC North needs to be I think 8 and 9 personally is going to be a really tough hill to climb for the Browns, and I hope they do better just for the hometown team's sake, but I'm selling, and that's the reason I'm selling. So moving on from the Browns to their rival, arguably, the Pittsburgh Steelers. We buying or reselling?
The
9-7. 9-7.
9-7, not great, not a great year. Big Ben was dreadful all year. He's been dreadful for several years now. But there's no clear choice of who is lining up to play at QB. Defense is a terrific unit.
Always
Yeah,
are. Always are.
they'll need to win games 10-7, like every time, unless they somehow like snag like Aaron Rodgers or something. I've
Right.
seen that talk. I don't think that's going to happen. And the offense has just been run very poorly, even despite Big Ben being bad. The Steelers' offense has just been
Stagnant.
yeah, run very, very poorly. Najee Harris is a very good running back. But also, I'm here to drop the red pill. Mike Tomlin is a good, not great coach. He's a good, not great coach. He had Big Ben, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, all in their prime. No Super Bowls, no conference championships. So I'm selling the Steelers. Unless something happens offensively with the QB, you have to sell. Because Dwayne Haskins is not going to do it. Mason Rudolph's not going to do it.
Mason Rudolph, definitely.
Yeah, so I'm selling the Steelers.
All right, our Pittsburgh favorite. Go Steelers.
Yeah.
Who we got? We buying or we selling?
I'm going to sell, and that's kind of hitting on what Will said. QB situation. I think they've got a great defense. I think they have some weapons on offense to where they can, if they do find a good quarterback, but it's kind of up in the air right now to where 9 wins, I think might be a stretch. I think it's probably closer to like 8 or 7 wins, just because of the QB.
I'm in the same boat as you guys. I'm selling the team as well. I'm selling just because I don't know, Dewey Haskins has servable statistics. Like, he's not like a terrible quarterback. I'll just be surprised if they actually buy in on him and make him like, hey, he's our guy from week 1. He's obviously talented. He's obviously an athlete, so he can't be worse than what Big Ben did offensively. Like you said, the defense is going to have to win them games, and I don't know if the defense can sustain for 17 weeks in the NFL anymore. I mean, injuries are a thing. So I'm selling the team as well. I'm moving off of them. But I'm going to move on to the Baltimore Ravens because they're probably the Browns' other big rival. I mean, I don't know. The AFC North, I feel like everybody's rivals.
Yeah.
Nobody
likes anybody.
Yeah, everybody hates everybody. So, will we buy the Ravens or we selling the Ravens? 8-9, finished last in the division based off of head-to-heads and stuff. But 8-9, worst in the division. Can they beat that?
I'm buying the Ravens. They have the best head coach in the AFC North. With all their injuries, they somehow scrapped together a season. They were last in the division, but they still won 8 games.
Right.
They were just wrecked by injuries. I do think that Lamar, the league has kind of figured out his skill set right now, how to contain him. I think he's solid. He's definitely their franchise QB, but he's not like the game breaker that we thought he was that MVP year. But I'm still buying. I mean, I think they'll win the division.
Right, Ravens?
Yeah, I'm going to buy 2. I think, like you said, with the injuries, kind of chalked up their year last year. I mean,
They chalk it up though. I mean, they were like winning games, so like they
were
almost
winning,
were making
they
a
were
playoff
winning
run,
games,
you know?
and then went on a 6-game losing streak towards the last 2 months of the year.
Yeah,
So, I mean, you can see the effect it had on the team.
correct.
To where I think if they're healthy, if they could stay healthy, I think they'll probably get some more wins. I'm going to buy.
I personally think this is the easiest buy in all of the AFC. I made that my notes because of the sole reason. And I honestly don't know if the league's figured out Lamar Jackson. I think when you don't have 2 of your starting running backs in the backfield, it minimizes what he can do. And then you had 4 veteran running backs being cycled, Levantez Murray, Devontae Freeman, and then Le'Veon Bell. Like, you just have like a revolving door of these old guys coming in. So I don't know if they actually figured him out or they just had no other run options. Because, I mean, I feel like a lot of his game came from a fake handoff and then broke off for 30 yards of running because they were squeezing the box. So I feel like he was very limited. And, I mean, when you don't have a great running back like J.K. in your backfield, that really limits a lot of things that you can do. So I think this is personally the easiest buy. I agree with Will. I think they're going to win the division. That defense is still great. That offensive line will get figured out. And I think John Harbaugh is the best coach in in the division without a doubt.
Another
And-
interesting fact, the Baltimore Ravens, they have the second highest points for in that division behind the Bengals. They
Huh.
just
They just
gave up
got
50
outscored.
points.
Yeah, they just got outscored. So I think it's the easiest buy of the league. But now here's the toss up. The hardest one I personally think on the AFC arguably is the Bengals. Are we buying? Are we selling? Will, I know you got some heat. Bring it, please.
I'm selling the Bengals. You have to sell the Bengals. So they won the division going 10-7. That's not a very impressive win-loss record to win your division.
I mean, comparison reason: Buffalo Bills 11-6, 12-5 for the Titans, and 12-5 for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So I mean, 10-7 is okay. It's not lighting the world on fire.
Zach Taylor's just not a good coach. He's never been a good coach. He wasn't a good coach this year. They got hot at the right time. No hate. They just got hot at the right time. Bro can keep developing into, he really kind of looks like a stud right now. He can keep developing. But crafting a solid O-line from what they have right now will be a very difficult task to turn over in 1 year. And I do not see this success where they're winning the division, they're going to the Super Bowl, as being sustainable. Serious things need to happen, and Zach Taylor is not the answer at head coach. It's just not going to happen with him.
Right?
I want to buy him as much as I love Joey Boo.
Joey B and the boys.
Joey B. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence. I think I'm going to sell, just because I think it's a safer bet. I think the division next year, aside from maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers, we don't know. I think it's probably going to be one of the hardest divisions in the AFC. I feel like
or football.
Yeah, I feel like every year kind of comes down. I feel like every year it kind of is.
Yeah.
So I'm going to sell just on that fact. It's kind of like a 50-50 sell though.
Yeah.
So
You could coin flip it.
Yeah.
Either. I think personally it's a really easy sell. I obviously said the Baltimore Ravens are going to win the division, so I have to sell the Bengals. I just can't see the Ravens getting 12-7 and then, or 12-5, and then the Bengals being 11-6. I just don't see that happening. It's going to be a slugfest in the AFC North, like it always is. I think that Joey B is great. He's a stud. He's definitely their franchise guy, but that O-line is criminally bad. And I felt like during the Super Bowl and during the Titans game when they had a combined of 18 sacks in 2 games, I felt like it was us on the O-line, which is not great. I mean, I know I'm a statue of physical excellence over here. We all are. Greek God, pretty much. But I know for a fact I can't block Aaron Donald. So I just don't think they have necessarily the stock or the ability to draft or even develop these guys yet, or even trade for them. I don't know. So it'll be really interesting. I just don't think the Bengals are going to be able to sustain that. I hope Joey B does great, just because he's an Ohio guy, came from OU area, so that's great. And I hope he does good, but I can't see it. I think it's an easy sell personally. But that wraps up the AFC North. Move into one of the better teams in the AFC, and the potential on the rise team with a rookie quarterback this year. Let's go to the AFC East, and let's start with the division winner, Buffalo Bills, 11-6. Are we buying? Are we selling with Josh Allen and the freak of nature that he is?
I am buying the Bills. I love Josh Allen. I love his game. I do not see him slowing down as far as him developing. He's already easily top 3 QBs in the AFC. And the defense is close. If they can have a corner and a D lineman, they're going to be in great shape. I mean, they were like one stop away from playing the Bengals at home in the AFC Championship game, and you don't know what would have happened in that game.
Yeah.
They easily could have ended up being in the Super Bowl. So I'm buying the Bills. I like everything about the Bills. Dayball leaving to go to the Giants isn't a big issue for me. So I'm buying the Bills.
I'm gonna sell. I think I'm gonna sell. I think they had a good year last year. I think the playoffs were obviously a little disappointing. To where I don't know.
You expected them to go farther.
Yeah.
Do you think if they're in the Bengals side versus the Chiefs side, they would have been Chiefs, Bills, AFC
Yeah.
Championship?
I think a lot of people expected them to make the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl, especially going into the playoffs.
Right.
So I'm gonna sell just on that fact. A little disappointed towards the end of the year, but again,
I'm also selling, and it's not because Josh Allen isn't that guy. I think Josh Allen is that guy. I just trust Bill Belichick and his ability to develop a quarterback and his schemes and everything. I can see the New England Patriots winning the division. I think the Buffalo Bills will be right around that 10 to 11 win range again, but being the division leader, I mean, Patriots were 10-7, and they lost the division by a game, and I think that you just give Bill Belichick more time to dissect or even play better with Mac Jones and company, and maybe they draft. I mean, he's probably going to draft some crazy dude that nobody's ever heard of, and he's going to be a stud. That's just typically I feel like his MO. But I can see. It's not that I hate the Bills and I don't want to sell them. I'm buying the Patriots more than I'm selling the Bills. How about that? And that leads me right into the next one. Patriots, buying or selling.
Well,
10-7,
Yeah.
buying or selling.
Did you not see the playoff game between the Bills and the Patriots?
I did.
I
It was terrible. It was like a snooze fest.
Yeah, I'm selling the Patriots. I need to see a
I'm
lot.
not talking about playoff football. I'm talking about just are they going to be better than where they are? I can see the Patriots win the division.
I need to see a lot more from Mac Jones to be sold on him, being a long-term QB in this league.
Yeah.
10-7 seems like a high mark for this team. Bill Belichick, greatest coach of all time, but hard for the team as constructed to replicate that performance.
Right. I mean, I definitely think it is hard to replicate, but I definitely think it is doable. But I'll just go now. I'm buying the Patriots. I think that you give Bill Belichick another full year with a quarterback that's proven that he can play. Obviously, the playoff game did not go in their favor, but that's just the way it works sometimes in the NFL. Just because you're a good team and you get stomped in the playoffs doesn't mean that anything you did up until that point is good. I mean, we can all agree it's very hard to win games in the NFL. We've proven that. Colts proved it last game of the year. Browns proved it, even though how good their team is. I mean, the Bengals proved it with Titans and the Raiders and the Chiefs. Like, it's just hard to win games in the NFL. The Chiefs were the powerhouse favorites. Should have probably made the Super Bowl, but they still lost the game. Like, it's just hard. So I'm not going to discriminate anything that the Patriots did. I'm buying them. I think that they'll win the division next year, and I'm going to trust the person that's been to 10 Super Bowls or something like that and won 6 of them. I'm going to trust that guy and his ability to develop before I'm going to trust potentially in the new OC. I don't necessarily know he's a great OC, but I definitely think that it's going to cause something different. That's all. Ryan?
I'm going to buy as well. I think I'm going to also put my trust in Bill Belichick. I think last year I'm looking at their home record was 4-5. Like, I feel like you can't have that in the NFL. Like,
sure.
you got to defend
Defend home road, yeah.
to where Bill Belichick's probably going to take that and like say, hey, we got to get our shit together, especially
Right.
at home.
Right.
I think one more year development, probably going to put them over the top.
And who knows, they might snag somebody in free agency that's going to be a weapon for them. I mean, they don't really have any great wide receiver. They have solid, serviceable players. They don't have anybody that's blowing my doors away. So I could see them getting somebody as well. Moving to the bottom half of that division, staying in the New York area though, the Jets. Are we buying or selling? I mean, 4-13. I mean, that's pretty terrible. Are we selling or buying?
I'm actually buying the Jets. I like Zach Wilson. I know he did not have a good year. The Jets have a terrible roster. And with a better roster offensively, with more weapons, I can see him developing and becoming what the Jets were kind of looking for when they drafted him. I also like Robert Saleh as the head coach. I think he's a smart defensive coach that just has a really bad roster right now. Lots of holes, but I would rather be the Jets than to be the Dolphins. So I'm buying the Jets.
Fair. That's a fair point, honestly. Ryan?
I'm going to sell. I think last year was bad. Like, I don't know exactly. Were they the worst team in the NFL last year?
Jags.
Jags were. Yeah, Jags were.
Yeah, Jags were. Don't bring it up.
I could honestly see them being the worst team in the NFL next year, though.
The Jets?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of in the same boat. I do think it's hard to be worse than 4-13. I do like Zach Wilson in the sense that I think he's got moxie. He's got the swagger to be an NFL quarterback. I just don't think he has the smarts. He led the NFL in interceptions damn near when he was playing, and he sat like 3 or 4 weeks too. Mike White came in and obviously set the world on fire for that 1 week, and then he started next week and it was terrible. I feel like Zach didn't show enough to what the right plays to make. You know, I mean, I'm not saying go beat the Bills and beat the Patriots. I'm saying when you're out there and you're making the right QB moves and the right QB IQ of it, you know, basically not what Baker Mayfield did. Carson Wentz did a lot this season. You know, even Joey B taking these hits and getting crushed. Like, you just got to be smart. I feel like I didn't see a lot from that. So I'm going to sell the Jets too. I definitely agree with Ryan. I think they could be the worst team in the NFL coming back to it. So it'll be definitely an interesting case for them. It's going to be hard to be worse than 4-13, but if anybody can do it, it's going to be the Jets. So moving on to what I think was probably one of the bigger dumpster fires in the NFL, it might be the Miami Dolphins. Will, are we buying or are we selling here?
We're selling the Dolphins.
A fire sale?
This is a fire sale. I mean, they have absolutely no direction as a franchise. They're in total turmoil with the owner is like paying to lose games. They fired Brian Flores, who's a great NFL head coach. He's now a Steelers linebackers coach, which he's way overqualified for. And with or without Flores, though, I'm unimpressed with Tua. He doesn't have it. He doesn't.
I don't know what it is, but he doesn't.
He does not have it.
He's still looking for it.
Yeah, he's still looking for it, and it's like, you know, he was drafted above Justin Herbert, and I think we all know who you would rather have right now. So I'm selling the Dolphins.
Right.
I'm going to sell as well. I think last year, I mean, they got 9 wins last year, and they went on a, 6-game win streak towards the end of the year.
They went 7 losses in a row, or
Yeah,
6
and
losses
then
in a row, and
flipped it
then
right around.
6 wins in a row, and then
I
lost
mean,
out.
granted, that strength of schedule towards the end of the year,
Terrible. Awful.
to where, I mean, they kind of got gifted some.
Yeah.
Go Jets because of 2 wins there.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, along with what Will said, I think just there's a lot going on there that's just not good.
Yeah, I agree. I'm selling as well. The biggest reason I'm selling is I don't think you're going to find a better head coach than Brian Flores and what he was able to do to keep that team bought in and keep that team serviceable over the past years. I mean, I don't get how you go back-to-back winning seasons for the first time since, like, the 90s and then fire a coach. Maybe because he wasn't losing enough. You know, you mentioned that kind of before. But the reason I'm selling bigger than anything is that they lose to the teams that they should lose to, in theory, and then they're, like, not winning impressively against the teams that are terrible. Yeah, that 7-game win streak was against the bottom half of the NFL.
Yeah.
So
A lot of close games too.
Right, yeah. So I don't think Tua's the answer. I think when you take Ryan Fitzpatrick last year and put him in, and when they benched Tua and they were still winning, I think shows more, not necessarily Ryan Patrick, but shows more of what Tua's ceiling is. And I think that we figured out it might be a lot lower than what a lot of people were bargaining about. And maybe it's just the coach. Maybe Tua's not a Brian Flores guy. So hopefully a new coach comes in, so maybe he lights it up. I don't know. And also, I think it's weird when a QB throws left-handed. I don't know why. Just personal preference. Same thing when an NBA player shoots left-handed. Just freaks me out. I don't know why.
Something else though, Tua's birthday is tomorrow.
Happy birthday, Tua.
Come on the podcast.
I know we kind of slandered you, but hear me out.
Come defend your honor.
Come defend your honor. We got a spot on the couch. We'll sit on the couch. We'll chop it up. We'll chop Dolphins. All I got to say is roll fins. Shout out St. Brendan. They're the Dolphins. Yeah, so, you know, come on the pod. Happy birthday. We'll bring a cake. We'll bring an ice cream cake, whatever you want.
Happy 24th birthday to Tua.
24?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That just made me feel so old.
He's a year older than me. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, it's terrible. I hate that. Let's not talk about that. But happy birthday to well wishes. Well, that wraps up the AFC East. Moving to the best division in football, AFC South. Best division in football with the powerhouses of the Jags, Texans, Colts, and Tennessee Titans. Division winners 12-5. Might quite possibly the most boring playoff team ever. The Tennessee Titans. Buying or selling?
This will come out of the woodwork. You will be surprised. Our listeners will be surprised. I am buying the Titans.
Stop it.
I am buying the Titans. I love Vrabel. I think Vrabel's a great coach. I love a healthy Derrick Henry. He is, he's a walking
Buick
5 years
Grande.
ago.
He's literally a Buick Grande going feet. That dude can get you anywhere.
Now, here's the issue with the Titans. Ryan Tannehill. He is an issue, and they are sticking with him. Now, 12 wins is a lot for them to replicate, but the schedule looks easy on paper to make that happen again. When you get to play the Texans, the Jacksonville Jaguars, 4 times a year, and then the Colts too. I mean, they're not like the Chiefs or anything,
No.
but you can easily get one, like the one at home.
Yeah, split.
Yeah, easily, and then be in the second game. And then, I didn't write it down, but the divisions they're playing are pretty easy.
Bottom
to
tier.
Yeah, bottom tier. And plus they get to play the Bengals, who won the division. They look pretty good, but so I see 12 wins there. I see them winning the division again. It's just Ryan Tannehill's kind of a problem, but I'm still buying.
That's definitely the potential ceiling capper as well, right?
I don't know. Like, I want to buy because I love Mike Vrabel.
Mike Vrabel's guy, he's a
I
great
have
coach.
football at home. Ohio State football signed by Mike Vrabel.
Wow.
So that's terrible. That's terrible.
Wow.
Go on now.
Anyway, I think kind of what Will said. I think the strength of schedule is definitely going to set them up for 12 more wins. At least, if not 12.
Just off rip, they play the Broncos. Terrible.
Yeah.
Obviously,
maybe
if Aaron Rodgers goes there,
through,
I
then
guess.
it's okay, but yeah.
Raiders, which they don't know if Derek Carr's going to be there.
Yeah.
So that's
I'm also
toss-up.
not a Josh McDaniels fan.
They play the Chiefs, so obviously that's
It's a little rare.
They play the Chargers, which sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not. They play the Eagles,
Yeah, they
Philadelphia
play
Eagles.
the NFC East.
They play the Commanders, both terrible.
Yeah.
The Eagles are okay, but they're not great. And then they play the Packers. So if Aaron leaves, then the Packers are terrible.
Yeah.
So you're getting definitely terrible out of one. And then they obviously play the Giants, which they're already dumpster fire. So
Yeah.
I definitely think the 12 win aspect is there. But I'm going to go actually against both of you. I'm selling. I love Mike Vrabel. I think he's a great coach. I'm glad that he won Coach of the Year. The fact that he got 12 wins and probably 8 of those wins he didn't have the best running back in the league or one of the best running backs in the league through that stretch is insane, especially with just a serviceable quarterback of Ryan Tannehill. He's not great. He's not setting the world on fire, but he gets the job done. Keeps the ball, protects the ball, and gets touchdowns. That's all you really ask of him. But I think that the Colts, the biggest reason I do that is the same reason I had for the AFC North, is I think the Colts are going to figure something out to where they're going to cap at least 2 of those wins and then possibly even win the division. But I'll get to that anyway, but that's the reason I'm selling the Titans. I think they're a good team, and I think they're serviceable, but we'll see how they go. But moving to the bottom half of the division, Daddy Urban Meyer's home residence, the kicker of kickers, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Are we buying or are we selling? 3-14, Mike. Come on.
It's I'm buying.
Okay.
We'll come out. I'll say it. I'm buying the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Respect.
The only thing keeping me, making me buy is the idea of Trevor Lawrence developing and making me buy the Jags at the right price.
Right.
Even then, so many holes on the team. A GM that everyone around the league hates, and an owner who does not seem interested in winning football games.
Or the fact that their fans literally
Yeah.
dress up like clowns
Yeah.
during the last season of the game. So,
I'm still buying just because of Trevor Lawrence.
okay.
That's it.
I'm going to do the same. I think new coach coming in next year, I think he's going to be, I'm going to say more prepared than Urban Meyer, but I think he's going to bring more.
He's going to be a better NFL coach.
Right, he's going to be a better NFL coach to where you got to get more than 3 wins.
Yeah.
Like, that's a hard, ceiling to not surpass.
Right.
Especially with, again, playing their schedule. I think I see 3 wins on there.
Yeah.
Or more.
You
And
could
Trevor Lawrence having one more year in the NFL, got an idea of some schemes, some defensive makeups to where I think he makes more plays. Probably it's going to be a little difficult for him to not turn over the ball as much. He had a lot of interceptions.
Yeah, him and Zach Wilson were trading back and forth there for a while.
So that's going to be his biggest developmental point.
Yeah.
Is stop turning the freaking ball over.
Yeah, I'm actually buying the Jags for kind of not reasons. Like, I think Trevor Lawrence obviously developing is a great reason to buy. That defense is legit. Like, I know, like, they gave up a lot of points and they lost probably because a lot of that to the defensive, in the sense of the defense fault. But when you never get off the field, I mean, that's what, like, Josh Allen is a dog. That defensive front is a dog. They sacked the Colts the last game of the year, who have one of the best offensive line, like 6 times. Or, like, make Carson Wentz make him look like a grade school quarterback. So, like, the Jags are a service team, and they're getting the guy they drafted in the first or second round, ETN, back. Like, he's gonna be there for the running back. Hopefully, hopefully he's healthy this year and actually can stay it. But you're adding just another weapon in that they didn't have. That nobody has 0 film on. So, and they have the #1 draft pick. So I feel like they're gonna maybe go snag either an Aiden Hutchinson to shore up that defensive line, or maybe even go get a Chris Olave or Garrett Wilson. Go get another offensive weapon that Trevor Lawrence has. So I think that. Personally, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they're like 6 or 7 wins next year. Like, they double their win count. I know they're still bad, but you're bringing a new coach, a new plan, new scheme, and you give them Trevor Lawrence. Like, Trevor Lawrence last game of the year looked legit. Scored on the opening drive, didn't do that the entire year. Held the lead for the entire game, didn't do that. They led only for 5 minutes of the entire season on offense. So, I mean, I think that he actually showed what he can be like. So I'm buying the Jags. I think they could get maybe 5 or 6 wins. So nothing great, but still better than 3-14. That's terrible. Moving to the other part of the down south team, the Houston Texans. Lovie Smith, new head coach. Still terrible organization. Who we got?
I'm selling the Texans. I have no idea what's
going
on.
on.
Houston Texans are doing. I don't know what anyone is thinking. Lovie Smith is an awful hire. He wasn't good. He wasn't good with the Bears. He wasn't good when he was coaching the Illinois college football team.
Yeah.
He's not going to be good in Houston Texans, or for the Houston Texans. And there's nothing to even hang my hat on or like remark on about this team. There's Deshaun Watson is out at massage parlors doing whatever. Like, the idea that he will play again for the Houston Texans seems totally off the table.
Yeah.
So I'm selling the Texans probably for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I mean 4-13 is hard to get worse, but Ryan, are we selling or are we buying?
I'm selling.
Okay.
Like, I'm looking up like their past games from last year. I don't even. Davis Mills was their quarterback.
Hey,
I don't even know who he is.
He's the dude with like the stupid long neck, like looks like a giraffe.
Okay.
Like that, like his picture trends on Twitter every now and again. Like they just like show a picture of him and his neck's like 6 feet long. It looks like a giraffe.
Okay.
That's who he is.
So they have a giraffe at quarterback.
100%.
Deshaun Watson,
MIA.
MIA. I don't even know with how this case shit's going. I don't even know if he's going to play another down in the NFL.
Right. And people are trying to trade for him.
Yeah.
So
And again, like you said, Lovie Smith hire, I don't think is good. He was not good at this past job in Illinois. Like, what did he do there? Nothing. And then going back to the NFL, I just don't think it's good.
I mean, I think the Texans. I'm going to be in the same boat as you guys. I'm selling the Texans. I think the Texans are kind of in the same boat as a lot. Is they just hired an internal guy just to be like a stopgap. Might as well hire a guy that's already been there, knows what the hell's going on. I can't even name anybody that's good on the Texans that are game changers, right? Or like can impact the game. I don't even know who they're going to draft because I don't know what they need. They got waxed by the Colts. They've gotten waxed all year, and they're just not. There's just nothing you can say about the Tech. Like Jacksonville, you can be like, oh, they got Trevor Lawrence, or they got Travis Etienne. Like the Jets, you'd be like, oh, they have a good defense, and they have Zach Wilson, and they have some other guy.
They
Like,
lost to the Jets.
right. So it's like, I don't know what the Texans you can honestly hang your hat. If Deshaun Watson's there and he's playing, I don't care how bad the team is. That he can get you 4 wins.
Yeah.
Right. So with all that, I gotta sell. You just can't tell. I can see the Texans being the worst team in the NFL personally, so I'm selling the Texans as well. Moving from the Texans to our last team in the division, the Indianapolis Colts. Are we buying or are we selling? Hometown favorite for me, at least. Steelers, Browns, John, Browns, Colts for me. So are we buying or are we selling?
I'm buying. I need to see what happens at QB. Carson Wentz is bad. He's been bad. The GM basically came out and said, like, yeah, he's not
it, Chief.
He's not the
Remember
answer.
that we were looking for Tua? Yeah, we're not real sure if Carl Wentz has that.
Yeah. So they need a QB. JT is obviously a stud in the backfield, one of the best in the league. And I like Frank Reich. Defense is a good, not great, but a solid unit. They are kind of like a bend but don't break. I think they're like bottom 10 in yards per game, top 10 in points per game. So,
And also turnovers in general. We're top 3.
if Carson Wentz just didn't throw so many interceptions, their season goes a different way. But the Colts would be wasting a year rolling him out again. But I'm still buying.
I'm gonna buy just because I think the other 2 teams that are they're gonna get 4 wins.
Yeah, the Colts play
Guaranteed.
an easy roster just like the Titans did.
Right. So I'm gonna buy on that fact. I think they're probably gonna get like 10 to 11. They might even win the division. You don't know. I've heard rumors that they might even go after Jimmy G, which I don't know how you're feeling about that.
Not sure how much of an upgrade that is.
That'd be terrible.
So
Bring me Aaron. How about that? I'll take Aaron.
He's gonna get Tom Brady out of retirement on this podcast.
Tom's coming next week.
Come on the podcast.
Save it for the end. Tom's coming on the podcast. I'm actually buying the Colts as well, and I think this is the easiest buy, or second easiest buy in the AFC. Regardless if we have Carl Wentz or not next year, Carson Wentz isn't the reason we lost some of those games that we did. Don't get me wrong, he played bad in some. Every quarterback plays bad in some. Aaron Rodgers literally almost got shut out week 1 by the Saints. Tom Brady got held to 9, didn't even throw a touchdown against the Saints as well. You're allowed to have a bad week. Carson Wentz isn't the reason we lost to the Jags. The fact that our O-line couldn't stop an infant coming through the C gap and Carson Wentz running for his life the entire game is the reason we lost that game. Carson Wentz, when he went into Arizona without 4 starting offensive linemen, one of our weapons on offense, and some of our key defensive players missing, and we won that game. Carson Wentz won us that game. JT had, I think, under 100 yards. He threw for 250, 0 interceptions, 2 passing TDs. He won us that game. He won us the game in San Francisco as well. He can win games. I think that we're just getting this whole, oh, he's bad, and that we might as well just get rid of. Now, if we can get Aaron Rodgers, sure, I'm all for that. Bring in a better guy, or Russell Wilson, even that. I'm cool with that as well. But we can't just sit here and be like, oh, Carson Wentz is a dumpster fire, let's get him out of town. He played really well this year. His touchdown to interception ratio is 4-1. I feel like most quarterbacks, you're getting 4 touchdowns per interception. 1 interception is great. That's really serviceable. He had a top 10 completion percentage this year. He wasn't bad. Don't let the mainstream media and these Twitter heads say that he was bad. Was there games he looked bad? 100%. Did he Carson Wentz and still force balls or try and make an extra play instead of just taking it down? 100%. But I think Frank Reich can get that out of him. Or other people. Give him another year. Give me 1 more year with him, and if it's still the same result, then I think we can sell.
See, the thing is, though, is he going to want to be there if the GM doesn't even want him there?
I wouldn't say the GM wouldn't want him there. I think that, like Will said, is that he kind of emphasized we're willing to upgrade. But to me, who isn't willing to upgrade? I mean, if you're who's a really good, if you're the Chiefs, right? Okay, great team. Or if you're the Bills and they're like, hey, we can get Josh Allen for Aaron Rodgers 1-1. You're telling me the Bills shouldn't answer that phone call?
Right.
Or you're the Chargers and say you get Aaron Rodgers, you're telling me you shouldn't just answer that phone call? Why not potentially have the option to upgrade? There's nothing wrong with upgrading. But that's just me. I'm big on the Colts right now. I'm big buying on the Colts. Our defense is legit. We always find a steal in the draft, and we lost one of our key safeties this year, before the season started, 2 weeks in. So I think just having him back is going to help a lot. So I think that the Colts are going to be it, and I think they'll win the division, and that's why I don't think the Titans are going to win the division. So that's why I kind of sold the Titans as well. But moving to our last division in the West, out West, Kansas City Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers, Broncos. Start with the division winners. Chiefs. Who we got? Buying or selling?
I'm buying the Chiefs still.
Okay.
I think I'm not sure what the problem was. Andy Reid was pulling Andy Reid there in the playoffs. But Mahomes is Mahomes. He's going to do Mahomes type of stuff. Andy Reid is still a genius. He just, every year in the playoffs, he kind of does that thing that he does. Yeah. But offensively, they almost have too many weapons to fail. And if you're picking anyone else to win this division, you're not. You're missing the forest for the trees.
Yeah, it's so bad. I mean, yeah. Are we buying or are we selling here?
I'm going to buy. I think they're going gonna get at least 12 wins next year. To where I think they're always a safe buy.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I
they've
feel like they're the
been-
money line, right? Like
They have been one of the more consistent teams in the NFL for the past, 4 or 5 years?
Yeah.
even though how bad they looked
Yeah.
early this year, like we thought the Chiefs were dead there for a
Yeah.
second. I mean, they were like what 2-5 or something,
Something
something
like
crazy like that. I'm kind of in the same boat as you guys. I'm behind the Chiefs, and it's not necessarily more because of the Chiefs. It's just because of how not great the other division is. Like the Chargers are serviceable. Like they're going to be a good team, and I think give them another year. But the Raiders, like we don't know where Derek Carr is. They lost all their offensive weapons, and Ruggs, tight end, and their defense is shambles. And then the Broncos, I just literally have no idea. If Aaron Rodgers walks in, maybe then it's not the Chiefs. I don't know, but as of it stands, I'm buying the Chiefs strictly for that. Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, they're the truth.
Yeah.
Tyrann Mathieu, I mean, they're just good. So it is what it is. But moving to the Roomba in the desert, Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders. We buying or we selling here?
I'm selling. I'm not a Josh McDaniels fan. I've never been a Josh McDaniels fan. His tenure in Denver was unimpressive, and going back to the same division doesn't do much for me.
Yeah.
Defense is solid, but Derek Carr is serviceable. But with the new regime in town, we just don't know how that's going to play out. We don't know how he's going to fit in this new offense. So I'm selling. Just kind of a lot of stuff going on for that franchise.
Yeah.
I'm going to sell as well. I think kind of
10 wins is hard, especially in that division.
Will hit it on the head. This entire new coaching staff, to where 10 wins, especially in that division. Another reason, like I'm buying the Chargers, so
Yeah.
I think they don't get 10 wins.
I don't think Derek Carr's going to be there. So I think he's going to be gone, whether that be with the Broncos, whether that be with the Colts, Seattle, or whoever in the quarterback carousel that's going to happen. I think Derek Carr's going to be gone. And in that case, I think Derek Carr's the only reason that they were relevant last year. Like, Derek Carr won them a lot of games. And I'm not even saying Derek Carr's like going to light the world on fire. I don't even think Derek Carr's that great. But he's definitely a very serviceable quarterback. Like, I would, if Carson Wentz and Derek Carr was like a 1-1, just like straight up, I wouldn't hate it either. I think that Derek Carr's really good, but I just don't think he's going to be there. And I think 10 wins is going to be really. I'm impressed that they got 10 wins after Gruden got fired and Ruggs went to jail. Like, all that happened. The fact that they got 10 wins is insane to me. So I'm selling them. I just don't think they're going to be able to replicate it, especially new head coach. It'll be hard. I think Josh McDaniels is good. I know what you beg different. I think he had a chance. Didn't go well. Went back to the Patriots. Went to the Patriots. Got a lot of learning done, and now I think he's ready to make that next step. But moving to the team that I have a lot of high hopes for, Chargers.
I'm buying the Chargers full on.
I'm buying the shit out of the
Yeah,
Chargers.
I love Justin Herbert. I love his game. I think he's going to be a beast. Their head coach Brandon Staley had some puzzling moments in his. I believe this was his first season. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's either his first or second season. But he's young and seems to learn from his mistakes. Defense needs a total overhaul, though, and that'll be the priority. But with the right moves, they should take over the Raiders as the number 2 team in the division.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and say I'm buying the Chargers as well. I mean, for defense, I mean, if your points for is almost as identical as your points against, I think that shows that your defense, especially when your points for are 474 and your points against are 459. Like, the offense can go. Like, we know that. Like, I think that the defense is an issue.
Yeah.
Like a straight issue. So
The defense has talent, but it doesn't seem to have a solid game
scheme,
plan.
like
Scheme,
literally
yeah.
nothing. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's on the DC,
Yeah.
or if you just need that one guy. I mean, every defense has one guy. Like, Myles Garrett is the guy.
Yeah.
Aaron Donald is the guy.
Yeah.
So DeForest Buckner is the guy. So it's like, unless you just have one of those guys, and maybe that's what they're missing, but I mean, I think you should buy the daylights out of them. I think they're going to be great. I think if they're the only team that's going to potentially win the division over the Chiefs. And
It was Brandon Staley's first season, and he was a former defensive guy, which makes their defensive problems a little bit more confusing. But Brian, where are you on the Chargers?
I'm going to buy as well. I think Justin Herbert probably.
truth.
Yeah, like he's probably one of the best QBs that we've seen come out of the past 3 or 4 years.
Real quick, would you rather have him or Burrow today?
Herbert, easy.
I would rather have Herbert.
Herbert hasn't been.
Same, yeah.
Yeah.
And I love Joe Burrow. Like,
Last
don't get it
season-
twisted. I mean, just Herbert hasn't had his ACL blown out. I mean, I'd rather take the
Yeah.
safe money there.
Right.
And he took a really bad team last year and made him really good. I mean, Joe Burrow didn't get to really show that
It was
because he
a
got injured.
defensive team too.
Right. So
Yeah, and you know, not to get off track, but Joe Burrow, his offense is kind of stacked with weapons.
Yeah, T.
Offensive
Higgins,
line
Mixon,
is the problem. Yeah.
Boyd.
Anyways,
Yeah.
Ryan, finish your point.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy Justin Herbert. Last season finished second in passing yards, third in TDs, and third in QBR. That's insane for a QB that young.
Right. Second year.
Yes,
Yeah.
second year. Buy-in. I think if they get a little better on defense, they could even win the division. Probably, maybe make it to Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, you get him in the playoffs. I would strongly advise going away from him. I don't want to play. I mean, I think it's like you said it best. If you have a quarterback that is probably not even 23 yet, 22, and he's a top 23.
He is 23, and guess what? His birthday is coming up in 9 days.
Jay Herbs.
Let's go.
Come on,
Hey,
Padre.
hey, let's get them both on. Herbert, Tua, come on.
Come
We'll
on,
talk it out.
we'll chop it up. We'll chop it up. We'll have a little Q&A. We'll go back and forth. You know what? Herbert, Tua, and Brady.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Come
Just
on.
come on. Like, let's have ourselves a day. I mean, Herbert is the truth. I think he's legit on all aspects of it. I think that I would take him over. Like, I'd take Herbert over, like, Russell Wilson. Like,
Oh, well, yeah.
I mean, I'd even-
Russell Wilson's like 35.
that's what I'm saying. Even Aaron Rodgers. Like, I know if you get 2 years out of Aaron Rodgers, that's great, and he might even win you a Super Bowl. But like, Herbert is the guy.
Yeah.
So I love the shit. I buy the shit out of him. The arguably one of the biggest question marks in the AFC and maybe all of football is the Broncos. You get a new head coach. The rumors are still there. Are we buying or reselling the Broncos? I mean, they're still terrible. Like, don't get twisted.
Oh, I don't know. Are the Broncos, I mean, they've won 7 games. Are the Broncos, like, that bad? I mean, I'm selling the Broncos. The new head coach seems to have been hired solely for the reason to lure Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And that is not a path to winning football games. Because Aaron Rodgers is an enigma. We don't know what he's thinking at any moment. Plus, just newsflash to John Elway, Aaron Rodgers is never going to play in Denver in a Broncos uniform. So I don't really see a real plan that has been set in motion that can be followed. So I'm selling the Broncos. I think they have a reasonable team, a solid team to win like 7 games maybe again, but I don't see them improving on that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sell as well. I think that last year they kind of scrapped the season together. Like they beat the teams they should have. I mean, looking here, they beat the Jags, the Jets.
I mean,
Washington.
They beat the Chargers. Like,
They
they're
did
not
beat
terrible.
the Chargers 1 year, and then or not 1 year.
They split with the Chargers.
They
Like,
split
that's
with the
not terrible.
Chargers, and then they got to win them against the Lions. Like they beat the teams they should have, lost the teams that they shouldn't have beaten. And then just the whole question of quarterback, like Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know.
Drew Lock.
Yeah.
Like, just not. And that's segueing to my argument is that when you have 2 quarterbacks, I've said it before, and I'll say it again, when you have 2 quarterbacks in the room, you have no quarterbacks in the room, you just can't have a pissing match. We saw it in the Dolphins. Tua and Fitzpatrick. Didn't work. We've seen it with potentially the Browns. I mean, the Browns could have that issue if they keep Baker, and Baker has a bad week or two, and they're like, look, Case, we pay you all this stupid money, and you're the highest paid backup quarterback in the league. You go, and then Case starts winning games. Like, you could see that happening. I mean, I can see that happening personally. So I just think, like you said, when they're losing the games that they should be losing and they're winning the games that they should be winning, you're going nowhere. You have to make those changes. You have to be able to win. I mean, when you look at some of the games that they just had nothing to stand on. And like I said, for the Broncos, they just have, I feel like there's nothing to really hang your hat on. You traded Von Miller away for literally damn near nothing. Obviously, he hits the market again, so hopefully maybe something comes out of there. I don't know, but it's definitely going to be an interesting little paradigm shift of just like what's going to happen, how's it going to happen, how's it going to turn out. So I don't know about the Broncos. I'm selling them. I think that they're just going to be one of those teams that if they won 7 to 8 or 9 wins, I wouldn't be like, oh, that's crazy. But if they lost and they won 4 games, I would also be like, that's not really insane either. I could see it flip-flopping both ways. So, I think that is what it is, and that's kind of what the beauty of the NFL is. So, I mean, as long as this quarterback carousels keep going, the Broncos have a stake in it, whether it be Aaron Rodgers or not. They have the availability for it, and it'll be interesting to see how they pan out. So, kind of wrapping up that little garage sale we had. Thank you for joining us. I mean, we appreciate the buy and sell aspect of it. I'd have been really curious to see what John would have said on some of these, because I feel like he would have bought some teams that I don't think anybody should have bought. But that is none the case. We love you, John. We miss you. So moving on from the NFL, as the season progresses and off-season progresses, trades happen, we'll obviously keep you posted on that. But that's kind of our little wrap up there. Moving on to the next segment of our night would be the NBA. MVP rankings just released. Number 1, Jokic. Number 2, Embiid. Number 3, Giannis. Number 4, DeRozan. And number 5, Steph Curry. What do we like? What do we don't like? Did they get it right? Like, who should be higher? Who should be lower? Who should be getting more love? Who's getting no love? Who's getting too much love? Will, do we think Jokic should be the front runner?
I'm going to say Jokic is having an incredible season.
Incredible.
He's putting up just insane numbers. 26, 14, and 8. That's just insane. But to me, you can't be the 6th seed in the conference and have the MVP. Like, I think the MVP, as much as it is an individual award, it also is a team award. That is why, that's why LeBron's not on this list. LeBron's having an insane season. The Lakers are 27 and 33. They're not even in the playoff picture right now.
Right, they're terrible. Not even a playing game.
No. So, it's hard. Jokic is playing better than anybody in the league. But, where are you on this?
Personally for me, I think Jokic is. I've said it for years and years and years, though. I don't think the wins of your team should be the reason that it's... it is an individual award, I get that, and I think it is a team award, too. But Russell Westbrook was the only person to ever win an MVP below, I think, a 4 seed or a 3 seed, and that was when he averaged a triple-double a year. And he did it the next year and was not even in top 5. So it's to me, I think that when you're looking at crazy numbers and your crazy statistics, like Jokic and Giannis both are having the highest player efficiency ratings than anybody in NBA history ever has. And Jokic is just now getting some love about it. He's dropping stupid buckets, and that's the reason I think LeBron should be on this list when I get to the who should be higher, who should give some more love. How are you averaging almost 30 points a game, 8 assists, 7 rebounds, and you're not even in top 5? All these guys are great. Let's not get it twisted. I think those guys are great, but how do you not, to me, that should be, that would win an MVP. If the Lakers were the 2 seed, LeBron would be the favorite, right?
Yeah.
It's the only difference because that they're just not winning. That, to me, should have some factor in it, but then why isn't Jimmy Butler up there, or Bam Adebayo, or Devin Booker, or Chris Paul?
I
know they're not, lighting the world on fire, but, how are those guys? Steph Curry's only on that because I feel like they're the 2 seed in the West, and they have the second best record in the NBA.
He's having another killer season.
He's having a great season, but he also went on that 6 or 7 game stretch there where they were like, dude, you're shooting terrible. Right before he was about to break the record, he was forcing threes and only had 14 points. And after he broke it, he went on that 2-week stretch of getting below, 20 to 30, 25 points. To me, that's that I don't know if that's MVP. To me, an MVP is from game 1 to game 82. You are undeniably one of the best players in the league and the best player in the league and on your team. I don't even know if Steph Curry might be... Steph Curry's great, but Andrew Wiggins is having a baller year. And so is Draymond, too. When Draymond plays, he's phenomenal. So, is Jokic the number 1 guy? Should he be, or should it be someone else?
I don't agree with it. I think he's a phenomenal player. I think he's definitely should be top 5, top 6. The top 6 in a minute.
Yeah.
Me personally, I think it should go Embiid first. I think Embiid, especially with how the 76ers have looked this year, they're looking good. And I think it's the only reason is because of him. And now having James Harden back in the backfield with him, help him out a little bit. I think that team's only just going to get better. So I think it should be Embiid 1, Giannis probably 2. I like DeMar DeRozan. I've been a DeMar DeRozan fan since he was on the Raptors.
He's great. I love
I think he should be 3, and then Jokic 4, and then actually LeBron 5.
So you drop Steph to
I
6?
dropped Steph because he's
great. He's obviously great.
He's probably, in my opinion, I told this to one of my friends the other day. He's probably the greatest shooter of the basketball ever.
Right now.
What that guy can do is insane, and he can flip the switch, drop you 60 a game for 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
But after he hit that the record mark, he has not been
the same. Right.
I don't know if maybe he's just not caring, or whatever it goes.
Or just, other people are stepping up.
Right.
It is what it is.
Plays back a little bit, too. So, I don't think Steph should be in the consideration. I think he should probably be replaced by LeBron. getting into that, that's why I think he should be like snagged, who's been snagged from all this.
Yeah. To me, the person that shouldn't be as high as they are is Embiid. Actually,
Really?
I love Joel Embiid. I think he's been dominant, but the biggest problem I have is the amount of free throws he gets a game. And it's not that he's not earning those fouls or anything, but if he doesn't shoot, if he shoots half the free throws he's shooting, he would only average 15 points a game. And is a person averaging 15 points a game really the most valuable player in the league? And I know he's getting bodied, and that's fine. But
ultra valuable to be able to draw fouls and get to the line.
For sure, but if you're scoring 50 to 60% of your points from the free throw line, that to me doesn't say you're not. DeMar DeRozan is dropping buckets from inside the arc, like averaging 30 points for like 10 games inside the arc. Not even shooting crazy like 3-pointers or anything like lights out like Steph does. Like oh, Steph dropped 45, but he had 7 threes. You know what I mean? Like DeMar's doing that all within the arc. Like that's insane to me. He's shooting like 60% from the field inside the arc, which you just don't have that mid-range guy anymore. You don't have that Dirk Nowitzki anymore. That Karl Malone, that Manu Ginobili. Like you don't have those guys anymore. Like to me, that's impressive. But if you're getting 15 to 25 points a game from the free throw line, it's great, and you know that is valuable to your team, and obviously that's winning them games. But I mean, I don't want to see a free throw competition. And I don't want to see who can shoot the most free throws and make them the most. You should make your free throws. I mean, I love Shaq, and I think he's great, one of the greatest of all time. But how do you not just go, Shaq, we get it. You're good at post moves. Go shoot 1,000 free throws on the other court, and then once you get decent at those, then you can come back over here. Like, you should make your free throws. They're free points. But what Jokic is doing with far less talent, because Michael Porter Jr. out, Jamal Murray out. Like, when those two guys come back, and if they come back somewhat decent, I can see the Nuggets going to like the 3 seed or the 2 seed even. But I think Embiid's way too high. And I think LeBron should be higher, and this might segue into some of your arguments as well, or whatever you're going to say, is the craziest stat that I've heard, and I love a crazy stat. I do. I'm a big fan of them. You can ask anybody I know. LeBron James has gone to the hole 70% more than Joel Embiid has, tried to finish at the rim, and he has 320 less free throw attempts than Joel Embiid does. I'm not saying anything about Joel Embiid. That's not a knock on Joel Embiid. I'm saying that LeBron's getting refereed differently. And if LeBron got those fouls, he'd be averaging 33.5 points a game. That to me is not fair to LeBron, because we can sit there, oh, well, your team's terrible. If LeBron got half of what Embiid got, LeBron would be the number one clear favorite to win the MVP, because he's averaging 33 points at year 19 and he's on a bad team. Like, I mean, that's terrible. I mean, that's the reason I think that Joel Embiid should be dropped, because LeBron's still averaging almost 30 points a game, which is higher than Joel Embiid, and is doing it without less free throws. And I mean, I know you're big on the surprise of me and Embiid, so where's Embiid on your list?
So here's where my list would actually have Embiid at number 1.
Okay. Also, highest proficiency rating, and Giannis is my bad. Sorry,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I would have Embiid at number 1. Embiid's giving me 29.5. He's basically giving me 30 points a game.
100%.
He's giving me 12 rebounds a game, and he's giving me like 5 assists a game.
And blocks.
And
blocks
the
stuff.
Sixers are playing really high right now. I think if Embiid keeps that up, he actually plays the whole season. I think he's deserving of the MVP. Now, if the Nuggets turn it around, I would rather have 26, 14, and 8 for Joker. But I know what you're saying. I get what you're saying, and I want to be there with you where team success doesn't matter. But to me, it just does. I
don't think it should matter. I just don't think it should be the whole reason.
Well, I'm not saying it's the whole reason, because
History would say it is, though. Other than Russell Westbrook. I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying that is.
I would like you next week, if you can come up with some other MVPs besides the Russell Westbrook triple-double, where they really should have been the MVP, but the team wasn't good.
Okay.
I'd like to see what other...
Oh, I got some off the dome.
Okay.
But go on.
And, that's why I think the list is pretty perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I would shuffle some people around.
Obviously, Embiid.
Yeah,
one.
I bumped
Jokic 2.
Embiid 1. I almost want to put Giannis at 2, just because he's giving me 29, 11, and 6.
But their team's not as good.
Their team is not as good, but so they're kind of pretty neck and neck for me. I would put Embiid at 1, and then DeMar at 4 is solid.
See, I figured you'd put DeMar at like 2 or 3 for you.
No.
I know that's your boy. You've been arguing for him a lot on the podcast the past couple weeks. I know that's been your guy, so I just figured you'd be
I think he's in the right spot. He's in the right spot. Steph Curry at 5. Yeah, I mean, Warriors are really good this year, and he's like the best player on the team. He's playing better than D-Book. He's playing better than Ja. And you know the LeBron thing. Yeah, LeBron's having an MVP year. I just can't get past the 9th seed in the West. I can't get past it. Here's my thing. If say I'm averaging 50 points a game, I'm giving 25 assists. I'm breaking NBA
Will Chamberlain
records.
single game
records.
Yeah.
But my team loses half their games. They go 41 and 41.
Right, yeah.
I don't deserve the MVP. I'm not elevating the team.
Yeah. How bad would the Lakers be if LeBron wasn't there, though?
I mean, the Lakers
Would be a dumpster.
the
fire. They
Lakers
could be arguably one of the worst teams in the NBA, right?
Yeah, but that's the thing. The Lakers, LeBron has to do all of that because the team is so bad.
Yeah, for them to even be, in it. I mean, it's very reminiscent, I feel like, of like the 2019 Cavs. When they got like Jay Crowder and everybody in like half trade line, they changed everybody out.
I mean, but that NBA Finals run, when they got to the finals with basically LeBron and like Kevin Love, who was not that great at the time, that's one of the best playoff runs ever by one player.
Not one of. It's
the best.
The best. That's period. If you have any argument for that, if you have anything, you don't know basketball, you're not
You
watching.
weren't watching. You weren't there watching. You were not there watching.
I don't care what
It was
anybody
it
says.
didn't even make sense.
The finals poster when it's Tristan Thompson and Kyle Korver and LeBron James versus Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're not. You're not watching.
But
that.
yeah, I honestly the top 5 I think is pretty much right. I maybe would shuffle people around.
Yeah, I think the list is pretty solid. I think that if I had to do it like rearrange anything, I would put Jokic at 1. I would leave him at 1. I would put LeBron at 2. I know that's a really big jump in comparison reason. I would drop Embiid to 4, DeRozan to 3, and Giannis at 5. I think Steph is great, and obviously he's one of the greatest shooters of all time, if not the greatest shooter of all time, but he's not, I just feel like he's gone stagnant. We're not hearing enough about him just because his team's really good. That's so, Steph Curry was the 8 seed last year, and he was like the 8-9 seed. He was in a playing game, and everybody was like, he's going to win MVP. Like, he should have won MVP. Or, like, he was in the case for it. But he was the 8-9 seed, and I think that might be your LeBron case, too. It's like the same kind of thing, but at the end of the day, Steph Curry was one of the best players in the league last year. I don't care how bad his team was. It's just he was. Same thing with LeBron, and I think that the win share shouldn't necessarily be as big of a factor as it is. I think it does have intrinsic value. Perfect example, LeBron and James Harden. James Harden was only beating LeBron in points category in 2018 when James Harden won it by like 30 points or 40 points. Like LeBron beat him everything else: field goal percentage, shooting percentage, free throw percentage, rebounds, assists, like all the stats that matter that make you valuable to your team. James Harden only won it because he was the 1 seed in the West or the 2 seed in the West and had a great win percentage. But I mean, that's just the way the MVP works. I mean, is your 5 pretty similar to this?
Yeah, like I said kind of earlier, I think Embiid 1, Giannis 2, DeRozan 3. I think Jokic 4, and then LeBron 5. Probably more like LeBron 4, Jokic 5. Mm-hmm. No dissing Jokic. Mm-hmm. I just think, as you were saying, the whole fouls thing. Like, when has LeBron ever got fouls called?
Much like Shaq. Shaq would get murdered on the low block.
Like,
nothing would happen.
You're having, probably, like, stature-wise, LeBron could play NFL tight end and probably be one of the best in the league. Like,
nobody's faster than him. He's outrunning every corner. Like, you're not catching. By the way, he can jump through the roof.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
And so, like, just to have that, like, stature of player diving in the hole, what are you going to do to stop him other than foul? And then the refs aren't they're not going to call it. Yeah. So, like, you can do it. You can get away with it. Mm-hmm. And granted, do I think when LeBron does get fouls calls, his free throw percentage, like his free throw shooting, terrible.
Yeah. I mean, it's not terrible, right. I'm just
not
saying it's not good. As good as if you would be like, oh my God, LeBron should have, like, he's shooting, I think it's like a career 75 to like 80%.
I actually think he's doing pretty good this year, like, when it comes to percentage-wise, like, it's up there one of his better years, but...
Yeah, he should be making, like, you feel like he'd be like in the 85 to like 90 range.
Yeah, you think the greatest player of all time, like Jordan shooting his eyes closed kind of stuff,
like that.
He would be, like, lights out from the free throw. Like you said, he'd probably be averaging, like, 5 6 more points a game if he got those free throws called or fouls called. And
He doesn't have to
made
make all the
those-
free throws. He could just make half of them,
Right.
and he'd still be averaging 4 to 5
And
more
so,
points.
my question is, this MVP award, over the years, what does it even come down to? Is it the best player in the league? Because that's what that's what I think it should be.
I think
It should be like if you're having the best, most valuable player, how is the most valuable player not the best player in the league?
I don't think it has to be the best player in the league. I think it's who adds the most value to your team.
That,
Right?
I mean, that
That to me is important. Perfect example. You remove Jokic from the Nuggets. The Nuggets are a bottom 5 team in
Right.
in the NBA, right? I mean, you don't have Jamal Murray, you don't have Michael Porter, and then now you don't have Jokic. Like they're not great. Remove Giannis from the Bucks. The Bucks are now mid. Like they're just okay. Now, if you remove Joel Embiid from the Sixers, I think the Sixers are serviceable. They're not. What are they? A 3 seed right now? 4 seed? They're not a 3 or 4 seed right now. They're probably still making the playoffs. And remove Steph from the Warriors. The Warriors are still good. Like they're still going to be fine. Like they'll be okay. DeRozan from the Bulls with Lonzo out and Zach LaVine being kind of day to day. They're still okay. Like the Bulls would still be fine if DeRozan was there. Remove LeBron from the Lakers are a bottom 4 team. Remove Jokic from the team, they are a bottom 4 team. It's not like the Heat where you can sit there and be like, oh, Jimmy Butler, Bam, or Kyle Lowry's not playing. We're still winning games. Like the Heat's still winning games. Like we've had major stretches. Like we played the Bulls last night in Miami. Held the person that was on a 10-game 30 points in a row to 18 points. Held DeMar DeRozan to 18 points. Held one of the highest scoring offenses to under 100 points. I mean, that just shows. And we didn't even have Kyle Lowry. We had some of our bench guys playing. So it's not like that, right? I mean, I love Jimmy Butler. He's not an MVP guy. He was maybe when he was with the Bulls, but he's just not it. It's just not. Bam, love him to death. He's not an MVP guy. We have other guys that fill those roles perfectly fine and can play it. Not as well, but just play the role perfectly. If LeBron doesn't play, the Lakers are terrible. Even if Street Clothes is there, which is Anthony Davis, by the way, the Lakers are still bad, right? I mean, Street Clothes was in New Orleans with this pretty serviceable team. J.J. Redick, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, bad. Oh, not Lonzo yet, but before that, Josh Hart and all those guys, like bad. They were still bad. So it's like, you know, I think it should be whoever is the most valuable team. I mean, do you think the MVP should change or like what's going on
I
there?
think, Jordan. What did he win? 6 MVPs?
No, 5.
5?
5, I think, yeah. Because he has one more, I think, than LeBron. I think LeBron
Okay.
has 4, and then I think Jordan had.
Because that's
4 or
brought up
5.
a lot with like the GOAT debate, right?
Yeah.
You were saying like if you're an MVP, you take it off a certain team, that team should be like bottom 5 team.
Yeah.
Like you should not win.
Look at
without that
LeBron every time he left one of his teams, Cavs and Heat.
Right. Like Jordan, he gets taken off one of those teams. They're still probably top 10 team.
He did. They went to the Game 7
Exactly.
against the New York Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals and lost. And they almost won that game. That was when Patrick Ewing and John Starks and
That's when they won.
yeah, that's when they won and they went to the finals. And I think they ended up losing to the Lakers or somebody. They lost. I think they lost to the Lakers. But you know, regardless of who they lost to, it doesn't matter. They were.
Actually, I think it was Spurs.
They,
Dave Robinson.
yeah, it might have been. Yeah, they lost one. They lost 2 less games. They won 2 less games, and they made it to the conference finals, Game 7. Yes, if you have Jordan, Game 7, they probably win that game, or maybe it doesn't even go to 7. Yeah, and they make the finals. Cool. But if you're still making the Eastern Conference Finals, to me Michael Jordan obviously he's great, one of the greatest of all time, really good at the basketball, putting it in the hole, that whole thing. But you remove him from that team, they're still a very serviceable, very good team. I think it's the same thing with the Bucks. Like, I love Giannis, and I think he's great. They're not going to win, as many games as they are. But Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, like Bobby Portis, like those guys aren't scrubs. Like they're a very serviceable team. Like they'd be a very 5-seed team. You remove the Lakers, and they're already a 9 seed. God knows what they'd be without LeBron. Same thing with the Nuggets. They're a 6 seed now. If they don't have a guy almost averaging a triple double every game, God knows where they'd be. MVP, does it got to change or what? Or do you think it's good where it's at?
I think the MVP is good where it's at.
Okay.
There have obviously been snubs in the past that for questionable reasons, but generally, has anyone? Can you think of an MVP recently where you were like, how did this guy win? Like this guy totally did not deserve it. Like not that maybe I probably would have voted this guy, but that this guy definitely should not have been the MVP. Like he is not the most valuable player.
I think Russell Westbrook. I love Russell Westbrook in that year when he averaged triple double, but everybody was just hyping on the train the fact that Kevin Durant left him and now he's averaging a triple double. But obviously if he wasn't on the OKC, they'd be a lot worse. They would have been a lot worse than what they are. But it's just like he did average triple double the next year, and nobody cared, and he was still on a mid. Like his team was still like a 6-7 seed. So it's like I just don't think he was the best player in the league just because you average triple double. I mean, DeJounte Murray's averaging almost a triple double this year, and he's on the Spurs, and they're terrible. Nobody cares, so. I think that's like the most recent one. I think I can argue
it's like
he still deserves votes.
Yeah, I mean,
so it's like
he was
nobody's
averaging
getting
triple-double.
like it's not like this guy's averaging a triple double and then he gets 0 votes. Like it's not like that bad. I'm just saying the same thing with James Harden. I just think everybody was hopping on the train that he was averaging like 30 points for the entire year. That was like a big thing. But I just don't think he was the best player. Like arguably not even the best player on his team. Like Chris Paul was on that team, and it's I don't think anybody's gotten like so badly snubbed. We're like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
I don't think you'll ever have that case, but there's definitely cases where I feel like you're like LeBron. Like LeBron should have won it over Derrick Rose. I love Derrick Rose.
Absolutely.
Like he had a great season, but they were just tired of picking LeBron.
Well, they were
so
tired of picking
picked
Derrick
Rose.
and they were pissed about
Him going to Miami.
Yeah, him going to Miami. Like
Yeah.
they didn't like that. Yeah.
So it's just like I don't know. I think that's definitely hard.
Speaking back on the Heat, though, I really think the way Pat Riley runs the Heat, it's not really a organization that's going to get a lot of MVPs.
No, literally 0.
Except
except
has
LeBron.
It
Other
has
than
the
LeBron.
LeBron
But when
MVP.
you take the greatest player ever,
like
Jordan Heat, yeah, he's going to be MVP.
yeah, and so I think that's kind of part of this reason why no one really cares about Jimmy Butler right now. I mean, he's not putting up like crazy numbers, but the Heat are playing really, really good. But no one is even like really considering Jimmy Butler. Like, I think he is on the list like at 10.
He's probably 10. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, why'd they even make the list? 10
Yeah.
people deep. Like,
I don't know.
We're this far into the season. I think we can shorten the list down.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just a little side on the Miami Heat.
Yeah, and I'm obviously a big fan of him, and I think Jimmy Butler should get more love than he does. But when he doesn't play and you still win, and a lot of games too, I think it makes for an interesting argument.
When it comes to, you were saying like people who maybe didn't deserve the MVP, I'm looking at here like past recent like history, like Steph Curry in 2015. I think that was the year they just beat the crap out of everybody.
2015 was the year they won their first finals.
Yeah.
2016 is when they went 73-9.
Okay.
And that was the first year Steph Curry was unanimous, which is still bullshit.
Right. That year,
You're telling me
that
LeBron doesn't
2015
deserve
year,
one vote?
That 2015 year, he averaged 23.8 a game, 4.3 rebounds, obviously smaller player, 7.7 assists per game, with a less than 50% shooting percentage.
Mm-hmm.
If you put that, I mean, that year LeBron had better stats in every single category.
If you put those stats on LeBron, people would say LeBron's washed. If
Yeah.
you gave LeBron that 1 year over his, if he was having that this year, they'd be like, LeBron's done, send him out to pasture. Like, send him to wherever, just let him play for another year until his son gets in the league and then he'll retire. Like, that's when the Warriors started taking off.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely hard.
That you're talking about the year where
That was the first finals year.
the first year his
2015, yeah.
I mean,
He only
went-
has 2, right?
Yeah.
Steph has 2, yeah.
They went. I mean, they went 67-15.
Crazy good.
You kind of had to be there, and I know you were there. But if you think back and remember, just like because part of the MVP in the NBA too is like sort of like cultural relevance. Like
Yeah.
that Warriors team was it. Steph Curry was the guy. Like he wasn't. Yeah, I mean, looking back at his numbers, yeah, like
Steph Curry, that was
he's
the
only
year.
giving me 23 a game. I thought he would have been giving me more.
That's the year that he did the pull up.
Yeah,
like the logo.
It was like
in front of OKC and everything,
must
so-
see TV watching them play.
Or like, I think that was that year. So it's like, yeah, you're right. He was definitely the hottest name on the best team in the NBA, record wise, and I mean, you can't tell me like that's where I think the hype kind of comes around. Oh, James Harden's averaging 30 points, 31 points a game, or whatever. But it's like it's just the hype around it, and I think that's why Embiid's getting a lot of love too. Is that the Sixers good? But the thing is, when they come to the playoffs, are the Sixers going to win? And if they do, if they make the Eastern Conference Finals or they make it the NBA Finals, then yeah, fuck it, Embiid, yeah, for sure. But it's when it matters the most is Embiid going to put you on your back, and we just don't know that yet. It's hard to rate a regular season game, but I feel like the MVP rankings are kind of where they should be, and it's roughly where it is. But this is the last thing I want to kind of touch on for the NBA. We talked about last year. We kind of discussed last week. We kind of discussed the NBA's top 75 list. It was released. Talked about some snubs. Talked about guys that should have been on the list, or why they were on the list, or who should have been on the list. But the one thing I did think it was interesting. I just want to kind of give your quick take on this is the 2004 Pistons, Rip Hamilton, Rasheed Wallace,
Ben Wallace, Chauncey Billups.
yeah, like all those, like
Milicic.
yeah, like one of the most fried group of people that were really good for like no reason. You know what I mean? Like just an
Did they
odd.
have a nickname? What were they called?
Well, I know like there was like a big. They weren't the Bad Boys, obviously. That was
I think they made some sort of like new twist off of that
Yeah.
nickname.
Well, as you guys are figuring out whatever that nickname is, the thing I thought was interesting, not a single person from that team was on the NBA's top 75 players list, and that's the only NBA championship team not having a representation.
Modern era.
Modern era.
Since 1980.
Yeah,
There was-
since the NBA Finals, like the modern era, which is like the 81
no, it
or
was,
something
it was
like that.
1980 is the first
First
year
one,
of modern
okay.
era. I don't know what that actually means, but so the 79 Seattle Supersonics also
Yeah.
did not have one, and like the Cincinnati Royals from 1950s.
Yeah, like just
Like-
some, crazy back then.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is that a snub there? Do you think they got it right? Like, who would you put on this 75 list if you had to?
Well, see, I'm going to admit to the podcast and everyone here and all our listeners, I did not look through the entire list.
So I got it here. If you want to just like by names, Chauncey Billups. Obviously, I think you said that.
Yeah.
Rasheed Wallace, Ben Wallace, and honestly, those are the only three
I
names.
mean, Rip
that I can-
Hamilton, right? Rip Hamilton's on that.
Yeah.
I mean, Rip Hamilton was a dog. Like, he's a Hall
I
of
don't remember
Famer.
back that far.
I mean,
I was
obviously,
like
I don't
5
either.
years old.
Yeah, I was like
so-
5 or 6 years old. And Rip Hamilton's best days were before that team,
Yeah.
too. So, it's just, I mean, I think if I had to pick one, I think Ben Wallace and Rasheed Wallace are obviously better than, like, Wes Unsled or, like, some of the guys that played in, like, the 40s, but or, like, 50s, 60s.
I'm
whatever.
surprised Chauncey Billups. I think if anybody, didn't he have like a really good like career? Like,
I mean,
overall?
I'd say he had a serviceable career, but
Yeah.
is he one of the 75 best ever? So I thought that was interesting. I kind of want to get your take on that. I mean, are we surprised, or should we have been like, Ben Wallace definitely needs to be on it? You know what I mean?
So, as I was saying, I did not look through the entire list of players. I will admit that to everybody here. So when I saw that this player was actually not on the 75th anniversary team, I was surprised.
Okay.
When I saw this stat, I was shocked that Mr. Ben Wallace was not on the top 75 list. Ben Wallace, NBA champion, 4-time NBA All-Star, won Defensive Player of the Year, record-tying 4 times. Also, only undrafted player in modern NBA history in the Hall of Fame to be undrafted. And he's arguably the greatest defender ever.
Top 10.
Easily top 10. And the idea that he didn't make it on this the 75th team, that was a surprise to me. Chauncey Billups is the only other guy on that team that maybe you could have convinced me. But I think Ben Wallace deserved it. Chauncey Billups would have been like, hey, how are you? Nice.
Yeah.
Good going on you, Chauncey.
Like you had a very serviceable career.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Nothing crazy. Not lighting the world on fire.
But yeah, Ben Wallace is a definite snub from that team. I did not know that he was not on the list.
Yeah, I think if I had to pick one, I think it'd be Rip Hamilton or Ben Wallace. The defense speaks for itself. Rip was absolutely a dog. I can't speak from like, hey, I watched him. I just know that statistically speaking, and his career overall was really good in comparison to, like I said, Rip Hamilton should be on that list before Dame Lillard, and should be on that list. Ben Wallace definitely should be on the list before Dame Lillard. Like, that's just a few things I had a surprise for, sir. I mean, Ryan, you got any more surprises before we wrap up the NBA?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah, so I mean, I just thought was interesting. Thought a cool little tidbit. But moving on to MLB, season's dead. It's over. We suck. Rob Manfred is the worst ever. Go ahead and zoom in on this if you can. Listen, I'm probably one of the biggest baseball fans I know.
In the history of the world.
history of the world. I know a lot of people don't like baseball or watch baseball. I probably watch 90 games a year to 100 games of the 162
Can
games.
confirm.
Can't confirm. Ryan lived with me for 2 years, so he knows. Very avid fan. Go to any Astro game I possibly can. Go to playoff games when I can as well. Very big fan. The fact that we are not having a season as of right now, and the fact that Rob Manfred decided to ruin that and rip my heart out, is an absolute travesty. We have officially suspended the first 2 series of the MLB season, so opening day will be delayed. Who knows when that'll be fixed or when that'll be starting, but the season's dead. Rob Manfred sucks. He's the reason. It's not billionaires versus millionaires. I'm tired of people saying that. It's working wage people. Only like 16% of the MLB make above like 200K, and I understand that's better than anyone else at this table or a lot of people we know, but it's like 80% of the league makes below $1 million. So it's not like it's millionaires versus billionaires. It's people that are trying to make money and try and prove themselves in the MLB should get paid sooner and quicker. So these franchises don't just keep them, let them waste all their talent on a terrible team and then sell them to the Yankees, Red Sox, Dodgers, whoever. So, Rob, you really ruined it for me. I think that, honestly, a lot of players potentially might go overseas to Japan. If you're still zoomed on me, you can go away from that. But I'll be interested. Do you think any players go overseas or in Dominican League, Winter League, anything like that? Cuban League, Japan, anything like that, just so they can stay sharp until the season starts? Especially if we have a long delay.
So I don't know the technicalities here.
They are allowed to do it, yes.
Oh, they're allowed? Okay.
A lot of players did it in the '94, which was the last lockout.
Um,
Bryce Harper put on his Instagram, Japan, the Tokyo Giants.
I'm sure maybe some people will do it. Hardly part of it, I think, like with Bryce Harper, it's more a publicity thing. I don't see it being a huge movement.
Maybe
Just
a handful of players.
Baseball it's easy enough to stay sharp, like without having to go through the entire ordeal of suiting up for an actual game.
Yeah.
You can
Obviously, game speed's hard, but
you can practice for
Mechanics and stuff.
mechanics and stuff for a long time. So I don't know if that'll be a huge movement. I'm sure some people will entertain the idea. I don't know.
I kind of agree. I think it'd just be a publicity stunt. I don't think anything's going to be like long term there. Obviously, the money's in the MLB right now. Like obviously, I know that's what they're arguing about, but like overall, big names, like yeah, you might go play one of those leagues just for
just to stay sharp.
just to stay sharp, like you said, for a few weeks if it's even going to be that. But overall, I don't think it's viable. I'm honestly overall. I'm actually surprised that we're getting these first two series canceled. I was telling you guys the past couple of weeks, I wasn't all bought in to the fact that the season might be
Even suspended?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember hearing about it towards the early stages of this whole lockout. Everybody was going, they'll get it over with, they'll talk about it, they'll work things out. But the players are locking down, they're not budging, and I think it's good for them.
Yeah.
I think
The
a
players
strong
are right scenario.
I think
if you
a
don't know
strong players association for any major league sport
anything,
is good.
it's good for the sport too.
Good for the sport.
But I mean, personally, for me, I think that you'll see some of those lower level guys.
Right.
Some of those guys that are still in the MLB but not making enough money to where they can sit in a lockout forever. They have to go make money potentially somewhere else. I think that's what will happen.
Well,
I don't think we'll see
we're-
anybody like pitchers. I
Yeah,
don't think pitchers.
You guys are missing a big thing that's going to happen. So spring training's like not happening.
Yeah, it's like
So-
happening right. It's supposed to be right now.
Yeah,
Pitchers and
so-
catchers are supposed to report 3 weeks ago.
Think about the hotels, the businesses, the
Yeah.
regular
Revenue,
Joes
yeah.
that work in places like Arizona
Florida.
and Florida,
And Texas.
where they have gone 2 years now without having a regular spring training. Like 2 years ago, COVID hit and it shut down. Last
Yeah.
year, it wasn't the same. This year was supposed to be they were counting on this being the year where it comes back, and it's not happening.
Yeah.
You're talking about people who work at concessions at ballparks. They don't have a set start date for when they're going to be paid for that. So I think again, it is about playing the games, but also those are the people that are really hit
Suffering,
because
yeah.
the guy who's
That's somebody's life.
yeah, the
Right.
guy who's working in concessions at the Indians game is getting paid $10 an hour to hand out cotton candy.
Yeah.
He didn't play last season where he got paid a few $100,000 to play play in the outfield.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely hard, and I don't think obviously there's a lot of turmoil in it, but I think the owners just need to sack up and accept that they're going to lose some millions of dollars. But it is what it is. But moving to NCAA men's before we get to our picks and some other things, just real quick, first time in AP poll history, all top 6 teams lost. Gonzaga loses to St. Mary's, Arizona loses to Colorado, Auburn loses to Tennessee, Purdue loses to Michigan State, Kansas loses to Baylor, and Kentucky loses to Arkansas. I mean, what a weekend. Ruined our picks, crushed us emotionally there. Is there any true number one team? And then, like, is there anyone like that team's the best? Like that team's gonna win it? Is there anybody that this year?
No way.
No way.
No
way.
I
I
think
mean,
this season's like,
it's gonna be a great March Madness.
yes,
I'm looking
March
forward
Madness
to it.
is gonna be like,
Hey, by the way, happy March. March Madness.
Let's
is
go
here.
March.
Honestly.
Let's go March.
January, February, Izzo. You know, Tom Izzo is proving it right now. We're just hitting March. Michigan State's hitting its stride. Just beat Purdue at Michigan State. So I mean, it'll be interesting. We'll see how it goes. I love the March Madness. My favorite sporting event, arguably ever. It'll be a lot of fun. I don't think there's any true number one, which I think creates a really exciting March Madness. But
even conference games.
oh yeah,
Probably
conference tournament's
tournament.
gonna be lit. It's gonna be insane. I personally would like to see Ohio State lose first round, second round, because I think they're gonna make the tournament no matter what. Because I feel like last year when we made that deep run, they got really tired, really overworked, and then when they played Oral Roberts, just got worked. I'd like to see them rest, get some guys healthy, get the dude with the face mask. Can't remember his name.
Jamar Wheeler.
Get him off the face mask. I don't know. I can't imagine that's fun to play.
He took it off one of the last couple games.
Yeah, I want him to be completely off. I want him to be full go because I feel like it's a subconscious thing too when you're trying to play any injury. And then old boy for Ohio State also left the game and was leaving the arena in a boot.
I didn't see
The
that.
other big man, that Kyle and Kyle Young
Key?
and the other guys.
Is it Key?
Yeah, I think so.
Did he really?
He left with a boot. So hopefully get there, be competitive. Don't tell them to lose. Obviously, maybe win one game. Get your foot on it, and then if they lose, don't make the tournament. I'm not worried about that. I could care less about a Big Ten championship. They're probably not going to win it anyway. I'd much rather make it deep in the dance. Any Big Ten team I want to be successful in the dance. So it'll be fun.
I would really like a Sweet 16 out of them.
Yeah, I mean, they've been underwhelming the past couple of years, but it is what it is. Last thing before we get to our pick'ems, MLS and our 2-minute drill. MLS had opening weekend. It was a great opening weekend. Columbus Crew beat Vancouver 4-0. Vancouver got a red card, so hometown team. We capitalized on it, played at home. We play San Jose this week. We'll get to that pick'em. LAFC, which is out in Los Angeles, beat Colorado. Colorado, a very good team, or has been in the years past. Beat them 3-0. Austin smacks the doors off of Cincy 5-0. Cincy and Austin both terrible, so I don't even know if that's really a standout game. We'll see how that works. And then DC United beats DC United wins 3-0 as well in their opening game. So it was a great weekend for soccer fans. The MLS will be coming here each week now for the rest of the year, and it's a lot of fun. And I'm a big soccer
I'm going to
fan.
start watching.
Yeah, Crew's a lot of fun to watch. They're a really good team. I think they're going to make a great run this year. They're going to probably be competing for the Supporter Shield, which means home field advantage through the entire postseason. And just look out for the Columbus Crew, man. They're going to be legit. Nashville, Minnesota, Galaxy, Timbers, Seattle, always good, but look out for the Crew. But anything you want to add on that?
I believe we, if we can get the proper funding from our loyal Coast to Coast fans, there will be a Coast to Coast Sports Pod trip to a Crew game.
Hey,
you heard it here first.
You heard it here first, guys.
Yeah.
Heard it here first. All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Right.
All right. Coming up now, Ryan's 2-minute drill. We're going to try and get it under 2 minutes. Obviously, we try every week. We were not successful last week. Quick hits, quick reactions, quick responses. You ready?
I'm ready.
I'm ready. Ryan, hit us with it.
All right.
What do you got for us this week?
Harden's first two games, 76ers, cannot get any better. 29-10, and then 27-12 with 8 assists. I think is that rebounds or assists?
Yeah.
Best new duo in the league, Embiid, Harden. We'll just wait and see.
You were on the money on this trade. I didn't think it would work out. It looks like the best duo in the league. If they both actually play every game, I can see them going to the finals.
I mean, I could see him going to the finals as well. If you have Harden and Joel Embiid, who are both the two highest free throw drawing players in the NBA and arguably ever, I definitely think you're going to have a deep run. You get people in foul trouble, you get more points in the free throw line, and they fouled both of the New York Knicks' centers out, which I forgot you can foul out in the NBA damn near. So I think it's the new hottest duo in the league. So
One thing I do want to add, I saw some video, like chemistry-wise, could be looking a little stale still.
He's dropping all those assists. I'm just
right.
saying.
Michigan State softball. Michigan softball. God, I'm all over the place. Carol Hutchins has the most wins in college softball history. 1675 plus wins.
1,600. That is
1,600.
so many wins.
That's so gross. That's so gross.
That's insane. I'm very impressed. I find softball to be a pretty enjoyable game.
Love watching softball. College World Series, great.
Yeah.
So much fun.
So shout out to Carol. That is an incredible number. I don't know who's in second place.
Doesn't I mean?
Does it
She's
matter?
got a long way to go. I bet.
Yeah.
Super cool that you have a Big Ten team getting it too. So I mean, keeping it in the Big Ten family.
Last thing here, because I think we got about 45 seconds left in this little 2-minute drill. USFL has their inaugural draft, brand new league. Do you think it's gonna have any traction?
No.
Absolutely not.
No,
Absolutely not.
Better than XFL?
They will both go down in
They're
flames.
terrible. I think it depends on if people are actually going to buy into it. I don't think people are going to
They
buy
won't.
I don't know why anybody would buy it anyway. It's not as good as the NFL, so why do you want a poor man's NFL?
Yeah.
I don't know.
People want more football, but they want more NFL football.
Yeah.
They don't want these people they don't know.
Yeah, so I don't know.
All right, that wraps it up.
What do we do to make it?
We went about 10 seconds over.
All right. Next week we'll get it. We'll shore it up. We'll shore it up next week. So our last thing, as we always do, pick'ems, games of the week. Kind of went cold this past week. I'm not gonna lie. I went 7 of 11, which isn't great, not bad. Ryan went 8 of 11, and John went 8 of 11. Big winners of the week, big loser of the week. Will 5 of 11. His Cyclones did not get the job done.
No, they did not.
Never picking them again. Is basically what I'm hearing. So overall, I am 25 and 40. Ryan is 26 and 40. John is 26 and 40, and Will's 23 and 40, close behind. Hopefully this week we'll turn it around. So let's get to our pick'ems. I will be doing John's pick'ems for him because he did give us the little heads up for it. So we got Heat at Sixers. Will, who do you got?
We got the Sixers.
76ers for Will. Ryan, who you got?
I'm gonna go Heat.
Go Heat Nation. I respect that.
Heat Nation.
John also picked the Heat, and I got to stick with the hometown team. Not hometown team. My team. I'm going with the Heat as well.
Yeah. So that's W for Eric.
W for Eric. Hopefully that'll help him out. Next we got Suns and Mavericks. Oh, Suns at Bucks. Who we got?
I'm taking the Suns. I
Taking
love
the Suns. Well, Ryan.
Suns as well.
Suns as well. John also took the Suns, and I'm also taking the Suns. The last time we all picked the Suns to win, they did not win, so that hurt us. So Suns, figure it out, please. Last game, Jazz and Mavs. Who we got? Jazz at Mavs. Ryan?
Mavs.
Mavs. Will?
I always pull for the Mavs.
Pulling for the Mavs. John picked the Mavs as well, and I'm the only one picking the Jazz.
Man, that's 2 L's already. I see on the board. For
That's
you. Not going well.
That's great. Too bad the Jazz have won 8 of their last 9, so they're a hot team right now. Moving on to men's basketball, North Carolina. What is that rivalry called? It's like the Crossroads. Not the Crossroads. That's Cincinnati and Xavier.
Something. I don't know what it's called.
The Duke North Carolina game, obviously huge rivalry. Last time Coach K is playing at the Tar Heel Stadium, so we picked this one. I'm assuming we all picked Duke. North Carolina's pretty ass.
Yeah, North Carolina is terrible.
So we're all picking Duke here. I just figured we'd put this game on the list just because it's his last time playing at the Tar Heels, and it's always a good rivalry. Number 14 Arkansas at number 13 Tennessee. Ryan, who you got? Tennessee or Arkansas?
Arkansas.
Arkansas.
On the sole fact that I saw somebody under a Sports Center post say something about this post was about Gonzaga, and they said, "Yeah, too bad. Arkansas still runs man basketball." So
hey, roll Razorbacks. Will, who we got?
I'm going with the Tennessee.
I am also going with Tennessee. So Ryan might take a lead there as well. And so does John. John also went Tennessee. They were played a big game against Auburn, won, so did Arkansas, so I think Tennessee's going to have the higher ride there. Number 16, USC at number 7, UCLA, UCLA. Will, who you got?
I'm taking USC.
USC again?
They won last time. It was a really close game, but I think they're pulling it off.
Ryan's got UCLA. And John also has UCLA. I'm going USC. The boys are going at it right
That's
now.
what I'm talking
That's what I'm saying. We're split. That's all right. It doesn't matter. MLS, games of the week. We got... we didn't pick any women's basketball conference tournaments happening, so don't think we forgot them. All right, we've been hot on our women's picks. Going to soccer, we got San Jose at the Columbus Crew. Will, who you got?
I'm a Crew fan.
Crew
We're
fan.
going with the Crew.
John also picked the Crew. Ryan, who you got?
Crew.
Crew it is. We have a sweep here at Columbus Crew. Zellaround is the truth, best player in MLS. Can't tell me why.
they're going to win it all.
Minnesota at Nashville, both great teams. Will, who you got?
I'm going with Nashville.
Music
Playing
City.
at home, yeah.
Ryan?
I'll go Nashville.
We're going also Nashville. So John also went Nashville and I went Nashville. So we have, that's a terrible win. We have 2 sweeps on the MLS page.
That means pound it. That means bet the house
Hammer at
on.
home. Last but not least, last thing we got to talk about, NHL games. Blues at Rangers. Who you got, Will?
I have the Blues.
Ryan?
I'll go Blues as well.
Blues, and I think John picked the Rangers. John picked the Rangers. I picked the Blues.
Sorry, John.
So John, fat L there. That's all right. We're split. That's cool. Pens at Lightning. Last game, last pick 'em. Who we got? Will.
Tampa Bay Lightning.
Tampa Bay Lightning. Brian.
Pens.
Pens. Pittsburgh fan. You're the worst. I'm also going Lightning, and John is also going Lightning. So that has been our pick-ems. We'll let you know how we do next week, as always. That's the end of the show.
Yeah.
That's the end of the show. Thanks for hanging out, guys. We really appreciate it. As always, from the people on the ColorCast app to the people on YouTube checking our channel out, please share with family, friends, anybody you know that you think would be interested in us. We love it. We've got hot takes. We've got hotter guys. That's just facts. I mean, Ryan Reynolds is coming on here, so that's going to boost our...
Along with Tua, we got
Tua, Tom Brady, and
Tom
Jay
Brady,
Herbs coming up, and then we're all going to do a fundraising bake sale to go to the Crew game.
Yep.
You heard it here first. Will, you got anything to say to people?
No.
Nothing to say? Ryan, anything
I
to say?
think we need to say Cavs. We haven't said Cavs are back yet this year.
Will, have you forgotten that the Cavs are back?
You know, I'm actually kind of teetering on the Cavs being back. I thought the Cavs were back, and then the Cavs were more back before, and now they're kind of...
They're not so back.
Not so back anymore. So I wasn't dropping a Cavs were back or did.
Okay.
All right, but
I'm just saying because John's not here. I think he would say.
John would say it. John, if you're in the chat, and we know you are, the Cavs are back, and we're here for you. So thanks again for joining us this week. There's been another episode of Coast to Coast. Thank you for hanging out. Please share with everyone. We love you. Tell somebody you love them. We'll see you next week.
Peace.